Hey Chums, welcome back to a Game with Chums podcast. I'm your host for today's episode, Paulus, Paulie C, Paulie D, Paulie Supreme. I like the sound of that one. Whatever fantastical nicknames I have, I'm the presenter. And joining me, as always, is my ever well groomed, ginger beard, and wearing a t-shirt of a dead game, the lovable, enjoyable Mr. Bros. How you doing, mate?
Bleeding Edge lives forever. No, it doesn't. I'm pretty sure. Did they shut it down? I can't remember.
I don't know, man. I think
It's, it's,
just
it's a
came.
shame.
It's a shame.
The
Yeah,
character designs were great, and it
I
was kind of
mean
fun.
that's why they want to buy Blizzard, isn't it? To get the get Overwatch.
Just have Overwatch instead.
Yeah,
But yeah, I'm good. I'm tired. I haven't slept in 2 days, so my energy levels are low. But I turned up, so that's something.
yeah. I mean, we haven't done this for about a month. Obviously, because we can only really do this on the weekends, and on the weekends, you know, things happen and life happens, and we're not able to do it as much. So it's been fairly busy for all of us. So haven't had the
I
time.
mean, we were out on the piss last weekend, so that was that.
Oh yeah, we were, weren't we?
That one was a write-off.
Yeah, yeah, we were, weren't we? And I was out the next day as well. I was in Bromley. I was in Bromley Town watching the football, and we watched like three games. Three. It was the one where Man United won. Got lost 7-0 to Liverpool. There was a game before that. We were watching that as well. Yeah, those Bromley people, they do like to watch football and just drink shit beer all day. It's just a thing they do.
Why would you want
Uh,
to drink shit beer when there's so much good stuff out there? Anyway,
it's cheap, like the budgie.
yeah.
But anyway, yeah, just what's been happening. So, look, yeah, like it's been a while. But tell me, what you've been up to apart from not sleeping. We've been watching.
Working.
We've been playing. Apart,
Um, so I mentioned last time we did this, I was rewatching Outlaw stuff the first time in like 20 years or something,
yeah,
and that kind of got put on pause because Double Fine came out with this huge 32 part documentary on the making of Psychonauts 2, which is one of the best games I've played in the last decade. It's such a good game. So I've been watching their documentary, and that's basically been all I've watching because it's so long. 32 episodes, like they range in length from like 20 odd minutes to like over an hour. And I think I'm on part 20, well, what would be part 26 now, which is the Amnesia Fortnite movie, which they put out a couple of years back, I think, which is like nearly 2 hours long. So I've seen that before, but I thought, screw it, I'll watch it again in the context of the documentary this time. And it's basically just been all I've been watching. It's really good and gives a good kind of insight into what goes on in sort of like the making of a game. Like you see, you go on forums and you see all these hot takes about lazy devs and all this dumb shit. And it kind of feels like people should just be forced to watch this because those you cannot call those people lazy. Like
Mm.
um, even at studios where that you don't hear like stories of massive crunch, like Naughty Dog, um, being in the news for like outrageous crunch they have on their games. Even at studios that kind of aren't known for that, you see it like there's people like working through the weekend, working until like 9 at night on in the week, and like sleeping at their desks and stuff like that. Even at like small studios like Double Fine, it's just crazy. And then sort of seeing how they iterate on everything and kind of like come up with ideas and just throw them away and start again constantly, just trying to find what works. And yeah, it's really, really good to watch. Very kind of human story, the development of the game. So that's about all I've been watching, to be honest. And I think I've got like 5 or 6 episodes of that left. And I don't know what I'm going to do with my life when I finish that because it's been pretty much all I've been doing. But it kind of it made me want to replay Psychonauts 2, but I mean it feels a bit too soon for that because I mean well, it came out less than 2 years ago, I think. So I'll wait a little longer until I replay that. But it made me want to play something Double Fine. So I decided to play Broken Age instead, which was the focus of their first long form documentary. Double Fine Adventure, which I never actually watched because I hadn't played the game at the time. So I thought, all right, I'll play the game now, and then I'll probably watch that documentary afterwards. So I've been playing Broken Age. Finished it Wednesday or Thursday last week, I think. It was good. Really enjoyed it. Great characters, really good voice acting. Surprised to find Jack Black in it.
Mm,
So that's like three Double Fine games he's been in now.
mm,
And it's like a point and click adventure split between two characters, and one of the characters is also voiced by Elijah Wood,
mm.
um, who was also in Psychonauts 2 as well. But yeah, it's really good. Some of the puzzles are very, very obtuse, but that's kind of a hallmark of the genre. There were a few times I had to just kind of look at a spoiler-free guide just to try and prompt me in the right direction. But yeah, really enjoyed it. And playing that and sort of a bit of Ease 8 in the background, which I'm still trying to work through. And then Dead Space Remake, which I'm still playing like a month and a half after it came out. But I don't get much time to play on the Xbox at the moment, so I'm just sort of playing it like 20 minutes a night. But I'm on chapter 11 out of 12 of that, so I'm nearing the end of it. And I was hoping to finish it this weekend, but I've just been too busy.
Mm,
So hopefully sometime this week I'll finish that.
mm-hmm.
And that's about it really that I've been doing other than traipsing in and out of work every day, which sucks when it's snowing. It's been snowing this week in March. What the hell? What's going on there?
It's climate change.
Not fun,
I'm
especially
a
when you got to get trains and like a single leaf on the train track can stop all
yeah,
trains
it
across the
can.
entire country.
Yeah. It's crazy. A leaf. Well, it's supposed to be a bunch of leaves because they could get caught. Soggy leaves. You know, like they could get caught on the wheels and like sort of like make it slip off a track. That can happen, but it's like it's fucking bull. Sorry, it's absolute bullshit. Um, yeah. So that's what you've been up to, man.
Yeah, what have you been up to?
Oh, thanks for asking, man. Yeah,
You're
cheers.
very welcome.
I've been watching. I've been watching some anime, man. You know that thing we like to
Anime, which
watch.
is that?
Yeah, I've been watching Spy Family. Been finishing that. It sort of runs out of steam near the end, but I found it quite enjoyable. And I've also been watching that new show Tomo-chan is a girl.
Yeah, I've
Um,
got that on my watch list. I haven't
yeah,
watched it yet.
it's pretty good, man. It's pretty whole. I like these sort of like wholesome sort of like the comedies
Mm.
about, you know what I mean, about romance and misunderstandings and stuff. Um, you know, you always think, how can a character be that dense when the girl's clearly into you? But there's a reason why he doesn't see her as a girl, and you find that out in the story. So he's not like dense to not know that she likes him, but he sort of is brushing it. He's not sort of reciprocating because he has his reasons. But anyway, yeah, it's a good show, man. I do like a red-headed tomboy, so it's all good from on my end. Um, in terms of in films, man, I haven't really like. Have you? When was the last time you went to the cinema, man? Like, there's been so many big films being released,
God, I
but
don't know.
I don't seem to go anymore.
Prior to COVID, I think. Actually, I think the last time I went to the cinema was when you and me went to see The Rise of Skywalker.
Holy shit, that was a while ago, man. You
Yeah, I
not
think
seen
that was the
anything
last time.
else? I think
I don't think I have.
the last one I saw was Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. I think that was the last one. And I have to say, Ant-Man has been released. I'm not really interested in that. It's been getting pretty poor reviews.
Mm.
I have to say, like Phase 4 of Marvel, it's been kind of lackluster. It's the consistency and the quality is just sort of dropping off. And I don't know,
A lot of
because
it feels very Marvel B team.
yeah, I think they're just sort of rushing it out. They're churning them out. Just like always seems to be one being released like a few months apart, and I think they need to probably maybe not go back to the drawing board, but slow it down and focus on like the quality over quantity sort of
Mm.
approach. So I think the only good one I think has been probably Spider-Man No Way Home. That's been a really good one because there was actual stakes and consequences in that. I think the formula's running a bit thin now with the you know the humor. and every serious moment has got to be a joke. You know, and the first Marvel movies, it was funny, but it was quite serious, and then it just got sort of progressed. Like I say, after like the Infinity Gauntlet sort of, well, season or phase four, it's just gotten stupid.
Mm.
You know what I mean? Everything seems to be just a joke, and it's kind of like ruining the experience with me. So I just like, come on, guys, like let's can we just take it seriously and not sort of like make a joke? Everyone has to be comic relief, so it's just a bit like,
It leaned heavily into the Joss Whedon template.
yeah, and I'm kind of like done with that. I still like enjoy it, but I just think it is sort of wearing a bit thin now. It would,
Doesn't feel essential watching anymore.
nah, I mean, I wouldn't mind like if they took a bit more of a serious approach, not like dark and gritty, but not everything has to be a one liner or a sarky comment.
Mm.
Because I see like everyone seems to be want to be Tony Stark, who's sarcastic and quick witted and stuff like that. So yeah, it's been a bit disappointing. There's been good movies coming out, but I've just don't seem to go to the cinema anymore. It just seems to be a lot of effort and hassle to go to the cinema, even though there's a really nice cinema near me, which I like.
Mm.
But I just don't seem to go. I want to go to see the Super Mario Brothers film though. I mean, I've got to go and see that. Obviously, growing up on Nintendo games, got to see that. And the trailers look really good. Uh, I
I
did.
still can't get over Chris Pratt.
Yeah. I mean, like, I'll give him the benefit of the doubt. I'll see how it is. I'm not going to judge him on a few sound bites, but see how it goes. Um, I was one of the few people who liked the live action Super Mario Brothers.
Mario, and Luigi
I think I
Mario.
was like about 9 when that came out, or something. Or something. So I have a bit of a bias then. Mario, and Luigi Mario. It's so shit.
I don't think I've seen that since it was like out.
No, I don't think I have either. I just remember it. I just like, oh, it's kind of crap, but I did
Mm.
enjoy it when I was, and the person who took me and my sister to see it was my auntie from Colombia, and she couldn't really speak English. And we
Mm.
asked her afterwards, "What did you think of the film?" And she said it was shit. So she was just like, "This film is rubbish." So yeah, so
Well, I mean, she wasn't wrong to be fair.
no, she wasn't. I thought it was great. I was like, "Oh, Mario," but then I
It
was
was
just like,
so weird, such a weird film.
"Yeah, it was proper weird."
It's a
But
weird way to like adapt Mario.
it just doesn't work in live action. It's one of those ones. It just can't work. What they're doing now with CGI, the animated version, is just how it should
Mm.
have been. How it's got to be. It can't be adapted. It's just too wacky. It's too out there. It's too crazy, man. Talking mushrooms and
Dinosaurs
giant
stealing
Koopas.
princesses.
Yeah, it's just madness. But yeah, what I've been doing, man. I haven't been really been playing much. But yeah, what have I been playing? I played I think we should just talk about it. I played the Resident Evil 4 chainsaw demo.
Mm.
Wasn't impressed with it. Didn't like it. Um, it was just the village part where Leon has to fight off the village in the beginning. Is that part? And I thought the original game did it much better. Um, I think the controls were a bit clunky, which is
Mm.
weird to say.
That is kind of surprising given
It,
like two
mm,
and three remakes feel really good.
yeah.
Like,
Um, audio issues. There was no syncing. Like the audio from the sound effects and the voices were off.
mm.
Um, and I don't know. I just didn't enjoy it as much. And maybe when I play the actual game, it'll feel different, but it just didn't. It felt really claustrophobic. It really felt. I mean, they did it that way. It's like in the original, you can go into buildings and jump out windows. This one, I couldn't find. They were locked off a bit of some of the buildings. I was like, oh great, I can't get in here. So they
That
just
was
want you
like
to.
one of the cool things about that part
Uh,
of the game where you could like go into buildings and like hole
mhm,
up for a while and then dive through a window if you needed to escape.
yeah, it's just I don't know if they did it like that just so it was a quicker experience and it was more
Mm,
frantic. So that's what how I think they've done it. But again, um, yeah, and a lot of the enemies are seem very bullet spongy.
mm,
It took a lot of shots to go down, and so that's maybe they're going for a bit more of a conserve your ammo sort of approach. But it doesn't help when you have loads of enemies coming at you. So yeah, just wasn't really impressed with the demo to be honest with you. But it's just a demo. It was only 20
mm.
minutes. So maybe like I'm pretty sure the game itself will be pretty good. But
Hopefully.
yeah.
Does it at least look good, like visually?
Yeah, it was dark though. Like there was color contrasters, but no brightness, but it didn't seem to do much.
Mm,
So I don't know if that feature was locked out of this demo. It's just like, oh, I can't really tell the difference. You know, when they say turn down the brightness until the patterns barely.
mm.
It was just a white box. So that was actually, I think that was locked. That actually that function was locked out. So yeah. But anyway, yeah, I'm still looking forward to the game. It's gonna be it's gonna be it'll be it'll be a game. Okay, yeah. But anyway,
There'll
man,
definitely be a game that comes
yeah.
out.
What's happening in the world of gaming, man? What have we got any news or anything? What's going on?
We have a date for Starfield
Woo!
finally,
So
and which was originally supposed to be the first half of the year, and now it is not.
a lot of people
Uh,
complaining about that from the naysayers.
yeah, but I mean, it's been moved. It's September 6th, so it's like been moved out by like maybe like 3 months,
Hmm.
um, which isn't terrible. And it puts it like less than 6 months away now. So maybe they can start sort of up in the like marketing push and everything for it now. Now that there's a date locked in. I
Hmm.
think people are kind of half expecting it to be pushed back a little bit, given like when they dated Redfall for May, people are like, well, surely they're not going to do like Redfall in May and then like Starfield in June, and that seems to be the case. So I think a lot of people are kind of expecting it. So a lot of people would just like, fine, give it to me when it's ready.
Mm.
Yeah, that's fine by me. September. Kind of feel like a lot of games don't generally come out in September.
It's a bit of an odd
Mm.
month, to be honest with you.
So it might be kind of out there on its own.
Mm.
And there is a lot coming out in June as well and May as well. So maybe sort of moving it a bit like New Zelda's May, isn't it? Tears of the Kingdom.
Yeah,
Um,
forgot about that.
yeah.
Yeah,
So if you're going to be playing like if you're like multi-platform and you've got a lot of the platforms and you're going to be picking up a lot of the big games, it's probably a good thing because it
yeah.
gives a bit of space between them.
Mm.
So it's fine by me. I don't mind. But they're also going to be doing a direct for it, like the developer direct they had. When was that? Last month
Yeah,
or
around,
January? I can't remember now.
yeah, I think
Probably
it
Shadow dropped
was,
High 5 Rush,
yeah.
and I think that is the 11th of June. I think it runs right on from their E3. Well, E3, as they're not actually going to be at the E3 show floor. It was announced as well.
Yeah, E3's dead, man.
Yeah,
It's pretty dead. No, everyone's pulled out, all the main console platforms. Uh,
such a shame.
yeah, I think it is. I really enjoyed E3, but guess people the big three want to do their own thing, so it makes more sense.
Yeah, it is
Mm.
June the 11th, the Xbox Game Showcase, and then directly followed by the Starfield Direct.
Yeah.
So that'll probably be like a good 2 hours of Xbox content on one day. Probably have spaced that out a bit and given us stuff to look forward to at different times of the year, but it's fine. Just be one big day instead. And yeah, like I said, we had the developer direct recently, so that was pretty cool. Hopefully they do more of that.
Mm.
And so yeah, it's good stuff to look forward to in what about 3 months from now.
Yeah. Anything else been happening?
Uh,
Forspoken developer closed down by Square Enix? Huh.
yeah, so that doesn't seem to have gone well. There's a story on RPG site.
Hmm.
Square Enix says Forspoken sales have been lackluster and many small and mid-sized titles, quote, did not perform as well as we expected. So we
Hmm.
already knew before this came out that the Forspoken studio, which was Luminous Productions, got sort of like reabsorbed back into the Square Enix mothership, which was weird
Hmm.
because they're the team that made Final Fantasy 15, and they were just like part of one of the Square Enix business units around the time the game was being made, and then when it was coming out, they kind of like formed into their own specific dev team, Luminous Productions, and now that's been undone because apparently Forspoken's bombed so bad. It's a
Oh
shame
dear.
because I would have liked to see that game do well, but it seems it's had a very very mixed reception,
Hmm.
and which is a shame. I'd always like to see new IPs do well, but yeah, a lot of their other stuff did not perform as well as they were expecting as well. I do have to wonder if partly it's down to them being so stubborn about multi-platform releases, but not even necessarily. Like obviously, the one thing we're going to complain about is that they skip Xbox a lot in their stuff. But I mean, they skip PC with a lot of stuff as well,
Hmm.
which is just stupid. Like Theaterism, why was that not on PC?
Hmm.
Like, okay, you don't want to put that on Xbox for whatever reason. I think it would have done pretty well, but why
What
not
was
put it on PC?
what was the other game they released recently? Was it Octa Travel?
Octopath Traveler
Uh,
2,
Yeah,
yeah.
that got skipped to Xbox.
Yeah,
Uh,
that's just such a weird thing because the first one came to Xbox after a couple of years
mm,
and it never came to PlayStation.
mm,
And then the second one came out on PlayStation day one and skipped Xbox.
mm,
It's just like, what the fuck is going on with that game?
mm,
But yeah, I mean, like, put your games everywhere, and then maybe your sales will do better. I
mm,
mean, obviously, it's going to cost a bit more to port to everything, but I think you'd make that money back, and you start building up a fan base. Like, no one on Xbox at this point is going to buy Square Enix games that aren't like proven quantities because they're going to be thinking, "Well, is the next one going to get pulled off of the system?" So you don't build a fan base or an audience on a platform by with like a scattershot release schedule. Like you had Near Automata skipped Xbox originally last gen and then came out like a year and a half later, I think, on Xbox. And then Near Replicant, the remake of the first game, came out on Xbox on day one. What's going to happen with the next Near game? Can I expect it on Xbox or not? No idea. I don't know.
yeah,
That's not a way to build an audience.
yeah. I mean, they've been doing that a lot, Square Enix, with particular titles, especially like the Final Fantasies and stuff. But we know why that is. So
Mm.
yeah.
But I mean, like Octopath as well. Say you played Octopath on Xbox when it came over, and you're like, "This is great. I really like this game." And then you see Octopath 2 announced, and you're like, "Oh."
Huh.
So are you going to be sitting there going, "I wonder if this will come to Xbox eventually," or are you just going to go, "I guess I'll just forget about that game then"? Probably
Hmm.
the latter.
I mean,
It's just I don't see how it helps Square Enix having a like release strategy like that. I mean, obviously we know a fair chunk of their like high end stuff is being money hatted by Sony. Um, so I guess part of it is, do they prefer money hats or do they want to expand to more audiences? Because I mean, even with like Final Fantasy VII Remake, that's on PC now, but it took a year and a half to come to PC, and then it was exclusive to Epic Store, which everybody hates, for like
hmm,
6 months or something before finally releasing on Steam. If that just came out on everything on day one, I feel like they probably have twice as many fucking sales on that game as they do now. I mean, it's still a big success, but it could have been an absolute monster success.
hmm,
It just feels like they're kneecapping themselves for no good reason.
yeah.
And they've sold off like two, three studios recently as well. They no longer have any Western studios.
They bought who bought that? Was that new what are they called?
Embracer.
Embracer Group bought them. It's like, who the fuck's Embracer? It's like, okay, it's buying these studios. Okay, fair enough. But yeah.
Yeah, it was Nordic Games, and then they bought the rights to like THQ when THQ went bankrupt and became THQ Nordic,
Hmm.
and then they renamed themselves to Embracer, and I think they've got like over 100 studios now. Like people complaining about like consolidation in the video game industry because of like Microsoft trying to buy Activision. You never
Mm,
see them turn up to Embracer threads
mm,
because by and large they're buying studios that most people don't give a shit about.
mm,
That kind of tells you what the actual problem is with this, with these
yeah,
discussions.
definitely, definitely. Cool. All right. Yeah, so that was the main news. I mean, you had Capcom Spotlight. What did you think of that?
I kind of had it on in the background because it was on quite late night in the UK. I think it was on at like 10:30 to 11 or something.
Yeah.
So I just sort of caught bits and pieces of it.
Uh,
Obviously, like Street Fighter stuff looks really cool. I think Street Fighter 6 looks really good.
which is coming to all
Um,
platforms. It's not been it's not been money at it like the previous title.
yeah, I barely played Street Fighter 5 because of that. I
Mm,
bought it on PC at like a very deep discount years after it came out and just kind of messed around with it a little bit. But 6 I'm looking forward to um, because it's actually on platforms I play on. And yeah, that looked good. Obviously, the Resi 4 stuff, saw the demo, which we discussed. I downloaded it, but I haven't played it yet. Just haven't had a chance.
check out our
Um,
video. Check out our video.
yeah,
It's
we'll
on
put a video up
yeah, and
of that.
I don't
So,
know, you could see my impressions of it. Mm, mm.
but yeah, I can't remember what else there was. I think it was like the expansion for Monster Hunter Rise on other platforms. Something Mega Man. I don't know. I don't pay attention to Mega Man these days, to be honest.
I mean, who does really?
Exo Primal, which I still think looks kind of mid.
Yeah.
Having a Game Pass, so if I feel like it, I guess I could download it and try it. But I get a feeling it's going to be another one of these dud
Mm.
games as a service games that dies after like 6 weeks. And it feels like Capcom are trolling Dino Crisis fans with that character that looks exactly like Regina from Dino Crisis
Mm.
in the dinosaur game.
Mm.
Um, yeah, it seemed like a pretty decent stream from what I caught of it.
Yeah. See, everyone's doing their own thing now. Everyone's doing their own presentations instead of
It
going
does
to
mean
E3.
though, because like E3 was always
Mm.
like the big hitters all in one place
Mm.
essentially. Like you had like your first party stuff, and then you had the biggest third party stuff
Mm.
being sort of like fought over by Microsoft and Sony and Nintendo. Really less so Nintendo these days, but you get like a showcase that was all the big stuff, and now you're getting like all these different showcases, and kind of to fill them up, they're putting in a load of stuff that sort of like it's going to be more niche that less people are going to care about. So it kind of feels like instead of like the stream of like a conference being just like a constant high note, now it's kind of like this. It's like, oh, here's a big thing now. Here's a small thing that you probably don't care about. Here's a big thing again now. Here's something that's kind of mid.
Yeah. I mean,
And
you would never had that discussion again of who won E3. Remember that? Everyone was like, oh, so who won E3?
and now
Obviously,
it's nobody because
no,
nobody's there.
nobody's there now. Is it still going to be a thing? Are they still just going to have like just a crowds there, or
I think there's still a show floor,
uh,
but it
it's
sounds
just
like everybody big has pulled out of it. I think Microsoft kind of the last holdout of like the big of the platform holders at least, and they've just pulled out of it this year. So
yeah,
shame.
it is a shame. But you know what? It could have a revival. You know what else is having a revival, Mr. Ross?
What's that?
Horror games, and not just any horror games, because obviously horror games are still being released on PC, like indie games, but big AAA horror games, Mr. Ross, which leads us into our subject, the revival of the big AAA horror game, friend. So, Mr. Ross, horror games are coming back in
They
a big
are
way. Yeah,
all around the same time, it seems as well,
all
which
around
is
the same
kind of
time.
it's like there's some kind of weird collusion going on.
It's crazy to think like the horror games that are coming out, or big budget ones that have come out and are coming out. Um, Obviously, a lot of them are remakes. So
A lot of remaking going on.
a lot of remaking. I mean, like we could actually talk about just remakes, but we could have concentrated on just horror games because obviously, yeah, got Resident Evil 4 remake coming out. That sort of obviously that sort of ties into the previous remakes. I think it's more cohesive now. That's what they're doing because
Mm-mm.
in the demo there's actually clips of the previous games. And it
Mm.
sort of makes a more cohesive storyline. And obviously, like all the other games were made in the PlayStation One era. Then they went to PlayStation Two, so the graphical changes were just crazy. Now it seems a lot more cohesive
Mm.
and it's all more tied together. So it's what I think they're doing. They probably will remake Resident Evil 5. I've got
I
a
hope they
feeling.
make it good.
I mean, we recently did a playthrough of that, and we were just like, I can't believe this game is just so. We were enjoying it at the beginning, then at the end we just wanted just to get it over with because it was just ridiculous.
And we both had like very fond memories of it as well.
I did, yeah. I played it like with my younger sister. She you played it on your own with the AI companion. You said you enjoyed it. I said I enjoyed it, but then when we played it together, it was just like, oh
We
my
both
God,
hated it.
yeah, it's just what's happened here. But
I
yeah,
wonder if part of it is just because it was like that kind of era where they like stand third person action games didn't have kind of like a standard kind of like control scheme and template and everything. And
possibly,
now it just feels really jank because of that.
possibly.
But, yeah.
I
But
wonder if
yeah,
the
it felt like big budget horror games just went away for a while.
oh they did, yeah. I mean, like previous generations. I'm talking about PlayStation 2, Xbox. There was a ton of horror games. A ton of horror games was. And as you well know, like if you watch back to our month of horror games series that we did when we first started the channel, which we're still doing, there was more horror games for us to play, especially big budget ones. Um, but obviously, like we played them, and then we were sort of running out of horror games to play. So we're gonna, we started to turn into PC games. But yeah, I mean, like especially from the West and definitely from Japan, they seem to love horror games. The PS2 era, there was a ton of like horror games on there, like big
Mm,
budget ones. But then it just sort of faded away. It never the horror genre didn't like die. It just sort of went to sort of like the indie space or low
mm.
budget horror games. Obviously, like if off the top of my head, you got the Phasmophobia. That's a like a big indie horror game.
Even going back to stuff like Amnesia, like in like
Oh
the
yeah, yeah, of course,
what
yeah,
was that
that
like the 2000 to 2010s,
yeah,
or like fractional games and stuff.
and Slender Man,
Mm.
probably the one that kicked off the big sort of like indie. Or did Slender Man come out first or did Amnesia?
I think Amnesia, but
Uh,
then there was like Penumbra before Amnesia as
uh,
well, which was quite
mm.
similar. So yeah, there was quite a lot of stuff going on in the PC sort of indie space
Yeah,
with
but
stuff like this.
console ones just what
Console
didn't
games
exist.
just seem to die away. You kind of feel like it's kind of happened around the time Dead Space was being murdered. I say
Ah,
die, but it was being murdered by EA trying to make it a co-op action game with microtransactions and everything,
mm.
which just outright killed the franchise.
And with Resident Evil, look what happened then with
Resident,
Resident Evil 6.
which is
Oh,
getting stupid.
oh God, absolutely terrible. I mean, what other big like, game AAA sort of horror games? I mean, Lone in the Dark just got butchered. I remember that game the where it was actually you weren't alone in the dark, you were in the light. It was a big action game. I
I
remember that.
remember watching like they put out a load of tech demo videos before that came out. I think it was Alone in the Dark 2008.
I think
And
that's
all
the
the
one.
tech demos they put out were like, oh my God, this looks amazing. It like showed
Mm,
like you could any door in the game you could like burst through or enemies could like break down and all this stuff. And I remember thinking it's really cool. I think they had like a fire propagation system and everything that like
mm,
Far Cry 2 went on to do.
yeah,
And then the game came out and it sucked.
it sucked balls, man.
I
I
bought
mean,
the limited edition of it and it was so bad.
you also got like Silent Hill. That's was a premier like horror franchise, and it
Mm.
slowly lost its way. It went to like sort of what people said the Western sort of developers who made the later games sort of ruined it,
Yeah.
possibly. You know,
Well, this is the thing. They didn't hand it like you had Team Silent who made
uh,
like the original four, I guess. Um, and they're all good games. Like
Mm,
four, The Room is a lot of people don't like it, but I still think it's a good game. It's got a lot of good stuff in it. Um, and then they kind of disbanded Team Silent, and a lot of them went to Japan Studio, I think, with Sony, and that's the team that like started the Siren games, which we've also done videos of in our month of horror, as you mentioned earlier. Um, but then they gave it to Western developers. They didn't give it to like established high quality Western developers. I don't want to shit on the dev teams that made like what was it, Homecoming and Downpour, because
mm,
the team that made Homecoming was Double Helix Games, who went on to do Killer Instinct 2013 reboot, which was amazing.
mm,
But then the ones that did Downpour was like, I can't remember, they were like Romanian or something.
mm.
And like, fair enough, you've got a budget you've got to hit, but if you've got a big game like Silent Hill, which was like, it wasn't like a multi-million seller, but it was like pretty much a prestige game in the horror genre.
Yeah, yeah,
You don't then give it to like some sort of mid-tier dev who
yeah.
you don't know if they're going to do a good job with it.
I mean, obviously, you like what I think is sort of kicked off the horror renaissance was probably like Kojima's playable demo,
Mm,
playable teaser, PT, which it's this stuff of legends now. You can't even get it now. There's
yeah,
consoles with the
it's gone.
with the demo on there selling for stupid money. Um, that could have been something special, but obviously that sort of got killed off once Kojima got booted out of Konami.
Mm,
So yeah, but that game, I think that sort of reinvigorated the horror genre, and you had a lot of clones and games that tried to. Obviously, Resident Evil 7 had that vibe to it, didn't it? The
mm,
first one in first person and stuff like that. And that game was generally like, I remember when it was announced, it was quite scary. And I remember they had like a demo for that as well, where you played the news reporters. That was, excuse me, that was pretty intense. I was like, wow, this doesn't feel like Resident Evil.
mm,
But obviously, when you played it near the end, it did get
yeah.
Resident
Towards the end,
Evil-y.
it starts to
Yeah,
get very Resident Evil
I was like,
6-y.
I was just like, oh, this is a bit stupid. I enjoyed the first like 3 or 4 hours where you're trapped in the Baker house. There was some genuine scares in there, great, and then it just sort of like when you sort of got out to the swamps, it sort of started getting a bit Resident Evil-y with ammo drops and enemies just flinging at you. Definitely near the end, it just got ridiculous.
Yeah. I think sort of like when you hit the ship, you're like, oh yeah, this is a Resident Evil game.
Yeah, oh yeah, big
And
time.
it's still good. I really enjoyed seven.
Mm,
I think I mentioned before that it took me a few years to actually play it
yeah,
because when it was announced and I saw, oh, it's first person, and is it going to be another one of these run away and hide in the cupboard games that, like you were talking earlier about the PC indie horror space, and that's what a lot of those games were. And like we played some of them. We both played like bits of Penumbra and Amnesia and Outlast and stuff.
Outlast, yeah,
And they're pretty cool experiences. Some of them are genuinely terrifying,
yeah,
which is always good in a horror game. But when it felt for a while like that was what the entire horror genre was, like first person run and hide games.
yeah,
I got sick of it after a while, and I was pretty much done with horror games at that point. And then Resident Evil 7 was announced, and I had no expectations because I used to be a huge fan of the series, and then 6 was just terrible. So when they announced 7, I was like, oh, I guess they're doing something different, but I'm not sure if I care. And it looks like another one of these hide in the cupboard games. And then it came out, and everyone was like raving about it, and people saying, "No, you got to play it, you got to play it." And I was just, I can't be bothered. It took me 2 or 3 years to actually get around to it, and I was like, actually, this is very good.
it's a good game.
And then
Good.
8 came
Good.
out, and 8 is like full on Resident Evil 6 stupid.
It's
So I
got
haven't even finished it. I got to the point where a tall lady turns into a fucking dragon, and I was just like, no, I'm out. This
Because
is like
it got
it's just
stupid
like
again.
yeah, I was like, this is the final hours of Resident Evil 6 again when you're fighting a friggin' T-Rex and a blue bottle fly and all this dumb shit. So I was like, I'm
Mm,
out again, I think. Sorry.
mm,
And which is a shame because Resident Evil 8 came out and everyone was like, oh, it's so good, it's amazing, it's a bit more actiony, but it's really good. And then I remember some people saying it's the scariest one I've ever played. And I was like, I played like 4 or 5 hours of it. I was like, where's it scary? It's not
yeah.
scary at all.
I mean, let's not say that the last gen didn't have any good horror games. There was like The Evil Within that came out during last gen. Um,
I still yet to play that. I played about 2 hours of it, and it's a very, very janky game.
oh, it's
I
janky as
kind of,
shit. The
I
second
kind
one,
of enjoyed what I played with it.
the second one's so much more polished, and I'm just
Mm,
ashamed it just didn't get the love it deserved. Maybe it will now, being owned by
mm,
um, it is owned by Xbox now, isn't it?
yeah,
Yeah, yeah. So
Tango GameWorks.
yeah, so hopefully they have they got a horror franchise there of their own. So hopefully they'll greenlight a third one.
Yeah,
The second one's good though.
yeah.
Third
I've
one,
heard really good things about the second one.
yeah, the third one's proper. Had that sort of grime house sort of filter to it,
Mm,
and the second one get rid of that, which I think is better. But yeah, like I mean, like I remember, like you during the PlayStation 2, Xbox era, there was so many titles come out. You had like Project Zero games, Fatal Frame for people overseas. Um, I thought they were great, and then
mm,
they still release them, but they
yeah,
sort of release it to sort of Japanese audiences.
yeah.
You know,
I think it was like the fourth one that came out, which
uh-huh,
made everyone cry. It was a Wii exclusive and
uh-huh,
only in Japan, and everyone was like, "What? Why?" And
mm,
kind of tying into this subject we're talking about, it has literally just been re-released on I think all modern platforms, like literally 3 days ago as we're recording this.
mm-hmm,
But it's finally been freed from its Japan prison and its Wii
mm.
prison. So yeah, I'll probably get around to playing that at some point. But I still think the first Project Zero is the scariest game I've ever played. That game is terrifying.
But yeah, I probably, I don't know. I played both. I've completed both. What would I say was the scariest one? I don't know. I think maybe because I played the second one first, I found that more scarier.
Mm,
Maybe that's why. But it's just it's very rare to get a game where you feel helpless, but you can fight back. But it's just that even you don't want to fight back because the sheer um
because it
I
means you got to get right up in
yeah,
their
the sheer
face.
idea of having to stand there in tank controls trying to get a ghost to come up so close to you and take a picture of it to drain its sort of essence. It's a scary concept. You have to face them. That's
Mm,
the thing. Excuse me. But yeah, I mean, I would like something like a maybe a remake of those games, but I don't know if it would work because it was the griminess of that era. Do you know what I
mm,
mean? The sort of darkness, the foreboding of of those games to sort of like made it what it is. I don't know if they gave it a new coat of paint that might sort of take something away
mm,
because it's like with the there's a Silent Hill like remasters like it sort of took away because you had graphical limitations on those games um and they got rid of some of the fog and it just didn't really work that well. I know the
mm.
HD remasters didn't really
They were
do
botched.
yeah, so maybe we should just leave it as it is,
Mm,
like those sort of games. But yeah, but Japan had like a really like hot streak of releasing games, horror games, like Proving Grounds, which I never played, but I've seen videos of it, as you play as a young
yeah.
English girl with a dog.
Huey.
Yeah. So getting chased by a big monster. So yeah. And they always
Yeah,
run really weird. So
I can't remember which one that was. Because there was that, and there was like the Clock Tower games as well.
yeah, clocked
And
out.
I always forget which ones it was, and I'm probably conflating them in my head, but I always remember because I played. I used to go around, like a group of us used to go around one of my mates' house on a Friday, and we just all play through a horror game together.
Yeah.
And we played through like a few of the cocktail games. We played. It was Proving Ground, wasn't it? I'm sure it was.
I'm pretty sure it's Proving Ground.
Um,
I'm just
and I
looking at
just
my
remember like
collection.
two things I can remember from those days are like Huey and Slice and Dice. Just every now and then that just pops into my head, and I can't remember exactly which um, game that was from. But yeah, it had. I remember one of them had like really well done cutscenes. I think they were like almost full on like performance capture like we get in games today. And I just
Mm,
remember seeing it, thinking these cutscenes look incredible. But yeah, there was tons of good stuff coming out that gen.
yeah,
And
excuse me.
then like PS3 gen, we had like Resident Evil still going strong, obviously, until like five and then six. Kind of took it more took it first more actiony and then more stupidy.
Mm.
And then same with Dead Space. Dead Space came out and was amazing, and then went actiony and microtransactiony.
But
And
can,
then
can I ask you something? All right. Do you think that's a good sign? I know they're remakes, but people are releasing more sort of AAA horror games.
mm,
Obviously, you had the Callisto Protocol, and that had its issues. And I hope it doesn't dissuade them from for a sequel to come out because I think there was
mm,
potential there.
yeah,
But obviously, like you got the Resident Evils that they've been remade, and you also got the Dead Space remake, which is surprising from EA because
mm.
of their like practices. They don't really like single player sort of story based games. But do you think that's encouraging? Like we might see more like sort of new horror IPs.
I feel like publishers are using them as kind of a proving ground, to
Yeah,
use a
proving
phrase we
ground.
just mentioned.
Yeah.
But it no, it kind of feels like they're testing the market with all right, we're not going to make something all new
Hmm.
because it'll be expensive and take a long while. I mean, obviously, like a remaking a game that's like over 10 years old at this point is not much different from making a new game
Hmm.
anyway, in terms of like production of it, but you don't have to concept everything out.
Yeah.
Don't have to like come up with a new story and everything. So some of that work is done at least. And I kind of feel like this is like testing the waters essentially to see if there is still a market out
Market.
there for big budget horror games. Because like you say, we did get the Callisto Protocol from Striking Distance,
Hmm.
which is a new studio which was formed by Glenn Schofield, one of the people that created Dead Space in the first place. And it's a good game, but it's not a great game. But it does have a lot of potential for a sequel. Kind of feels like it could be like the Assassin's Creed 1, the eventual Assassin's Creed 2. So I'd like to see it continue. Um, but I don't know. The reaction to it was quite mixed. But then you've got like Dead Space remake. Where does it go after that? Is that testing the waters to maybe remake two,
I
or are they
reckon they
going to?
will.
Yeah,
I
because
reckon
I
they'll do
mean,
too. Yeah.
people love Dead Space 2. I think it's the best one.
Hmm.
Some people will argue with that. Some people will agree with that. Um, so I'm hoping. I'd love to see a remake of two in the vein of this remake. Um, and then where do they go after that? Because everybody hated three, so do they make a new Dead Space 3 after that?
Could be.
Or do they just like create a new ending for the Dead Space 2 remake that just wraps it up? Who knows?
Mm. I think this game has sold well and it's critically like acclaimed. So
Mm,
that will encourage them. I mean, money talks, especially with a company like EA. So if it sells well, I mean, I don't think they give a shit about like critics scores.
mm,
They don't really care. That's just a bonus. They don't care. The money is what motivates them. So I think it sold well, so it should encourage them to probably remake the second one.
mm,
Probably if they were going to do the third one, they probably have to start from scratch. I mean, the assets are all like with because I got a new developer because they, binned off the last one, which I have funny. I have like mixed feelings about that because I was like, you got bastards,
mm.
you shut them
Killed the
down.
developer and then handed it off to someone
Someone
else.
else, yeah, handed their baby off to someone else and then taking the plaudits from it.
Mm,
Like everyone's like us gamers, we have like sort of like short term memory sometimes. It's like, oh, something bright and shiny in you, I'll take that. Oh, if it's good, we sort of forgive. But yeah, I mean, like Resident Evil. I don't know what they're going to do with the mainline game now. They're going
Mm,
to carry on with that sort of theme, or they're going to go back to horror. Um,
yeah. Well, I
it's
think they said like the DLC for Village was supposed to wrap up the Winter's storyline, wasn't it? But I mean, I haven't even, like I said, I didn't even finish 8 because it just pissed me off so much with the stupid dragon lady. So I don't even know where it goes up.
a stupid
But
dragon load.
what I would actually like, because as I say, I did enjoy 7 quite a lot, but the remakes of 2 and 3 are amazing. I want to see a new game in that vein.
I completely forgot. Like we talk about like horror games with the last gen. I know it maybe doesn't count, but The Last of Us, that's a
Mm,
kind of a horror game, isn't it?
pretty horror.
Yeah, I mean it's got like cordyceps zombies. And that's another thing I've been watching is The Last of Us TV show. Good.
I've got to
I
get
mean,
around to that.
it's pretty much made for TV. But anyway,
Mm.
yeah, that The Last of Us, it's got a strong story. Maybe people think it's more of a drama than because you do fight more humans than you do zombies sometimes. The real
Mm.
enemies is humans all along. That
Yeah,
sort of
the real
story.
monster is man.
Man, yeah, pretty much that's how I think it
But
is.
yeah, I mean,
So,
it has like strong horror theming, so
oh
I
yeah.
guess you could put that in there.
Well, what's the in the second one where you play you've completed two, haven't you?
Mm.
Where you play Zabby and you go into the ground zero for the infection and fight the
Mm.
was it the Rat King or some that
Yeah,
that was pretty
that's pretty. Yeah, that whole
pretty
hospital section is pretty terrifying.
terrifying. Yeah, so yeah, I mean, like obviously there's a lot of action in it, but that scene that sequence was pretty fucking scary, man.
Mm.
I mean, anything to Abby sort of like playthrough was more intense than I think Ellie's section.
Mm.
Especially when you're fighting those what are they called? The scars people going through
Yeah,
that
the
section.
seraphites
Yeah. That
start whistling at you.
yeah, that
Stop whistling
was
at me, you dickheads.
like, oh God, what's going on here? But yeah, I mean, yeah, the last of us, but um that
It was pretty slim pickings last gen, though.
yeah.
Like, I'm genuinely trying to think of what else there was.
I mean
There
there
was Dead
probably
Space, there
is.
was Resident Evil. There would have been other stuff, but nothing's like jumping out at either of us.
Yeah, I mean like Silent Hill 2's getting a remake, which will
Yeah,
be
another remake that's coming out.
that's exclusive to PlayStation as well. And that's 100% exclusive, I think, as well. I don't think that
I don't know if they've been entirely clear about it.
yeah, like I don't know, like you never know, man. Like I'll be surprised if it is. But then again, you never know. You know, I've not heard anything, but yeah.
Yeah, there's also a new one coming as well. I'm not sure if that one,
Mm.
Silent Hill
Was
F.
that is that
I'm
the
not
one
sure. Like,
set in Japan or something?
I
It's got a
think so.
Japanese theme
I
to
feel
it.
like a lot of the stuff that came out has been very mixed and not mixed, like very muddled, and I can't seem to get. Last time I tried to look into it, I couldn't really get it straight in my head because there were talks of there being like 3 or 4 games, and
Mm.
when it was all rumored, and it was like, oh, there's a Silent Hill 2 remake, and there's something else, and then there's something else. And I feel like they did a Silent Hill stream for it.
Oh,
I feel
really?
like I came out of that still like confused what was what.
Yeah, I think they did do sort of stream for it.
Mm.
But I don't know. There was there's something like 3 or 4 games that they got in the pipeline,
Yeah,
isn't there?
I can't get straight in my head which is which of them. The Silent Hill 2 remake. But that's being made by Bloober, which was one of these devs that was kind of working on PC, keeping the horror genre alive on PC with things like Layer of Fear and Observer and stuff. But again, like hide and run and hide games.
Mm,
And they did the Medium, which came out, which was a timed Xbox exclusive. I think that's out on PS5 at this point,
yeah,
which
yes.
I honestly really liked. It's very much another kind of run and hide game, but different in there. It was like third person and
Mm,
a really good atmosphere. It felt very Silent Hill. The writing wasn't quite there, but the atmosphere was really good, and it was a really good looking game as well. So I'm interested to see what they do with Silent Hill 2, if I'm allowed to play it at any point.
I mean, the horror genre, it does make money. Like especially in films because they're so cheap to make. Like,
Mm.
a horror film could cost something like about 5 mil, and then it will make back its budget, like, and then and a profit as well. That's why always churn out a lot of like these Saw films and Sinister and whatever ones. Nightmare on Elm Street, obviously those ones. Um, but yeah, like I like horror is like a genre of gaming that I quite like, and obviously there's those online cooperative horror games that they release, which sort of you got Dead by Daylight. You had the Friday the 13th one, which I think sort of
Mm.
kicked it off, and you got the Evil Dead one, which when I first heard that I was like, oh, yeah, Evil Dead, because maybe they'll make a single player game, but it was like a online game, and I was like, oh, boo. I mean, because like that Evil Dead deserves a good like single player
Deserves
game.
a good game.
Yeah, I mean,
It's had
like
a couple of games. They haven't been good.
it's been some of them been complete shit, and it just deserves it. It's got a likable protagonist. It's got a good like sort of lore already established. It's got a fan base behind it.
Mm.
So I just and I don't know if you watched the TV show, but that was pretty good.
I haven't got
Um,
around to it yet. No.
yeah, Ash versus the Evil Dead, but yeah, I mean, like it could work well, and they got a new film coming out as well.
Mm.
Evil Dead Rise or something like that. So you know, someone get on it, and make a single player video game for it, man. Come on, let's.
Kind of feels like how I complain about there not being any good anime games. Like all the like you've got these huge anime properties and they make really low budget like arena brawler games from it. And
Mm,
they could give it to a better developer and have an amazing action adventure game. Kind of similar with the Evil Dead. It's like you got this pretty big like horror franchise that everybody knows that could be the basis for a really good game, but it gets like low budget crap half the time.
mm,
It's just like it kind of feels like a no-brainer when you're sort of on the outside looking at it. Like sitting there going, man, imagine if like Platinum Games made a Kill the Kill game. How good would that be? And then you get an
mm,
arena brawler made by a team you've never heard of, and you're just like,
mm,
why? It feels like as someone on the outside, you can't wrap your head around why it happens.
yeah.
But but yeah, back with horror games, I do kind of feel like the current sort of remake trend is to try and prove out a market. Um, it feels like horror game fans have been eating good these last few months with like Callisto Protocol, Dead Space remake, Resident Evil 4 all pretty much coming on top of like one on top of the other. Like I finished Callisto Protocol and then like literally a week or two later, Dead Space was out, and I'm still playing Dead Space. And in a couple of weeks, like Resi 4 was out. It just feels like I've gone from like horror game to horror game to horror game recently.
Hmm.
And but yeah, it'll be interesting to see how it kind of continues from here because hopefully it means there's a audience there and that we don't have to go back to how it was in the 360 gen where it was just like, oh, Call of Duty's big, let's make this horror game like Call of Duty
Mm.
and
I
ruin
mean,
it.
like I don't know why they should bring back. Remember Condemned?
Mm,
I know Condemned 2 went off the fucking rails with the
it
Hadoukens,
did.
and
It
I
was
was like,
so
what's
weird.
going on there? It's like it's got superpowers there. But I remember the
Yeah,
first one being very tense, like
it was.
horror game.
It was a genuinely quite scary game in places.
Hmm.
It's a good game as well.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully, I just hopefully like developers look at that, and especially publishers who hold the money look at the success of these new games um or remakes that you know that encourages them to invest in this into the horror genre, because out of all the genres, probably that's the least sort of like catered for genre at the
Mm,
moment. And obviously, like I say, you still got the PC ones, but that's indie PC games. You did have some good ones like Visage, that was good, and there was another one that I can't remember the name of, which is basically a PT sort of clone.
mm,
Was it Madison Row or something? Madison, was it Madison? I think it was just called Madison. Pretty
mm,
sure. Yeah, that was like a game. I think that's on Xbox. It was on PC, and then obviously it came over to Xbox. It's not on Game Pass or anything. I think you have to actually pay money for it.
Buy games? Who does that?
Who the fuck does that? But I'm just looking now if it is called Madison. I don't know if that. Yeah, it's called Madison. Just looked at it
Mm.
now. Yeah, Madison horror game. It got a camera. Wait, so you know, wow.
P
I don't think you
PT
fight. I don't think you fight. You fight enemies. It helps you unlock clues and stuff using the camera.
Project PT.
Yeah. So I mean, I would love a. I know they got still making Project Zero. So, but yeah. I mean, would it? I haven't played Project Zero since the second one, and yeah,
Same.
and the third one came out on the PS2 era. The one with the tattoo thing.
Mm.
Um, but I never got around to that, and that sort of ties into the first that storyline and what the first two. I mean, the first and second one was not connected, but in the third one it is connected. That
Mm.
makes sense. Yeah, I kind of like the idea of it being standalone. Because I mean, what's scarier than going to like haunted houses and these abandoned villages in the mountains?
Mm.
Because
And
like
I think part of it that was kind of, at least for like the Western audiences, it was unfamiliar as well because it's like these like sort of remote Japanese villages, which is like a lot of architecture you don't normally see and kind of like different room layouts and stuff. It
mm,
felt kind of slightly alien as well as being just like
yeah,
decrepit
yeah,
and creepy
yeah,
and crazy camera angles and stuff.
yeah, I agree with that. If it being foreign, Japanese, it's sort of more alien to you and more mysterious because they got a
Mm.
great mythology over there, and we used to watch their horror films quite a lot back in the day.
Yeah,
Even
big
that,
fans of Japanese horror just because the whole like not much
yeah,
happened, but there was like this creeping dread and tension that just keeps building up until
yeah,
like something does happen.
yeah. There's a lot of
I much
talking.
prefer over just constant gore, to be honest.
There's a lot of talking in Japanese horror films, but it all builds up. So obviously, Ring, The Grudge, Dark Water, those sort of things.
Mm.
Um, there was a lot of talking in that, and obviously they got remade, and Western audiences can't sit around listening to people talk. Yeah, so, uh,
I'll put
yeah.
Sarah Michelle Gellar in it.
Oh yeah, she was in it, wasn't she? Yeah,
The
yeah,
Grudge, wasn't it?
yeah. The Garage one, the Garage remake, but it was set in Japan. She I
Mm.
think she played like a carer, something. I don't know.
Mm.
Yeah, something like that. But
I'm just looking. It's been 9 years since the last Fatal Frame game. Um, but they have recently, like we mentioned, they've re-released 4 and 5 on modern platforms. So, what do you reckon? Do you think they're gearing up for a new one?
hopefully, I mean, if it sells well,
I mean,
then
has one been announced and I've just forgotten about it?
I don't think there's been one been announced. It's they sort of like just sort of catered to the Japanese market, didn't they? Really, they were just like,
Mm.
yeah, fuck the Western, yeah, this is too
So if it
Japanese.
sells over there, that's fine. But we're just going to keep making them
I think it was
here.
like they might think it's too steeped in their culture to
Mm.
appeal to Western audiences. So yeah,
I still think it's crazy how the last 2 games were like Nintendo exclusive as well. But where did that come from?
it's weird, isn't it? Yeah, I mean, like maybe the Switch needed some horror games on its platform.
Well, it's Wii and then Wii U.
Oh, was it Wii and Wii U? Oh,
Yeah.
fuck me, that's even worse. Jesus. Yeah, but yeah. Uh, anything else we got to say? Or
I think we've kind of exhausted the topic.
yeah, I'm trying to
No.
think if there's anything. What would be good? Like, because I do want to see the genre grow a bit more. But I don't want it to be sacrificed for action. I want to
Mm.
kind of
We've
like a
been there already. We don't want that
yeah.
again.
I mean, like Resident Evil, the current storyline seems to be going that way. Action again, stupidity.
Mm.
There's nothing wrong with a bit more sort of like suspense and dread than just balls to the wall action and grossness, if that makes
Mm.
sense.
We'll
So
see where Silent Hill goes because that's always been Silent Hill's stock in trade.
mhm,
The tension and like psychological horror and everything.
uh,
So hopefully the new games that are coming out in Silent Hill will keep that.
Yeah.
alive. But again, we don't know if we'll be allowed to play any of them.
Yeah. Once a horror game hands me a gun, sort of like, obviously you got to fight like physical beings with weaponry. Zombies or infected or vampires or whatever. But you know, but I do prefer sort of like tense, sort of psychological sort of horror. Even when you
Mm.
get a weapon, so like a la Project Zero, it's just a camera, and you're just petite Japanese school girl. And just like, what the hell am I doing here in this haunted house? It's the oppression. I like something oppressive. I do like to get scared. That's why PT works so well because you're
Yeah,
just in the hallway. You know what I mean?
claustrophobic. Feels like the walls are
Claustrophobic.
pushing in.
Mm-hmm.
And then
It's
they
some.
just that one thing they did with PT that was really cool. It was just very simple.
Mm-hmm.
It was just like you go through one cycle and then you come out and the next time and all the lighting is red or green or something, and it just completely throws you. It's a
Mm-hmm.
really simple thing, but it puts you so off balance.
Mm-hmm.
Like you got all the horrible, gross out stuff like the skinless creature in the sink and the coffin full of blood or whatever it was hanging above the entranceway at one point, and then like the thing with no face staring at you.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's fine, but then you got the stuff that really worked was just like that stuff that just completely unseats you psychologically because you come out and like now the lighting's all red and you're like, what the,
Mm-hmm.
and it just changes your environment. You don't know what's going on.
I think the fact that it had no soundtrack
Mm.
was good. It was just the sound came from the building itself, like creaking. You hear like someone crying in the distance. The rain. I think it was rain. There was rain effects. It's just those
Mm.
little subtle things that really sort of made it more intense and scary. I think that probably PT is probably the scariest game that there is at the moment. I mean, I've not
Mm.
played all of them. I can't really say,
Mm.
but I'm pretty sure that's up
It was
there.
pretty intense.
I mean, like, I couldn't finish it when I played it. I was just like, oh, oh.
I couldn't finish it when I played it just because it was so fucking obtuse trying to work out what to
Well,
do.
yeah, that was pretty like
I
what
did play a good like 3 or 4 hours of it, and I was just like, I don't know what the hell I'm doing.
mm. But yeah, man.
Yeah.
Hopefully, the a revival of horror is a good thing to see. Hopefully, the developers will look and maybe bring back a few other dead franchises, and because there's an appetite for it. It's all not all FIFA and first person shooters or those sort of like venture games, and Pokemon. Uh, let's bring a bit of like horror back. Let's bring a bit of like adult sort of gameplay, and let's see more of that because I
You know
think.
what? Less
Mm,
Souls-like games, more horror games.
oh yeah,
Everything
shit.
has to be a Souls-like
Souls
these
like
days,
game. Yeah, everything Souls like.
or
Uh,
a roguelike,
yeah, like that. There's a recent one
or
that
a
got released.
Souls-like roguelike.
There's a recent one that got released, wasn't it? Was it Wailu? The one that got released on Game Pass.
Oh,
Was it
what the hell's it called? Wolong.
Wailong? That's a
Yeah.
Souls like game as well.
Mm.
So it's just like, whenever something's popular, you just get carbon copies of it. Well, not carbon
Yeah.
copies, but sort of. It always happens, when
I
the
mean, it's
game.
fine. They like the Souls games are critically acclaimed and have a lot of fans. It's just not for me. So when I
Hmm.
see another one come out, it's like taking inspiration from Dark Souls. I'm like, pass.
Mm.
It's just
I
like it feels like I have to ignore half the industry at this point.
Elden Ring came out, and that was by from Soft, wasn't it? So, um, that one game of the year. Um, I not played it because once they said it's like Souls like game, I was like, not really my thing. Apparently, the story's really well. The not the story because it's open world as well. The lore is good. It's really good, but it's just
Mm.
not. It's just not something I'm really into. It's not really appealed to me any of those sort of styles. I mean, the world looks great. The lore looks fantastic, but um, do I really want to be banging my head for like 20 like hours trying to beat a really super hard boss. I don't know. Maybe it's a challenge. Maybe I'm not a real gamer. Maybe that's the thing. Yeah. But yeah, but bring back horror games and inventive horror as well.
Mm,
Let's don't give us a gun.
let's see some cool shit.
Let's not. I don't want a gun. No guns, please.
Do you know one thing I
Just get.
saw? Obviously,
Oh,
like I haven't played it yet, but Ghostwire Tokyo came out last
mm,
year on PS5 and PC, and it's not really a horror game, but it has kind of like horror elements. It's like spooky or whatever.
mm,
But I saw some stuff in like the trailers and like the um, marketing material they put out there that just looks really cool. It just looks like they do a load of like weird spatial stuff where they just mess with the environment around you.
mm,
That's what I want to see more out of horror games. Kind of again going back to like the coming out of the door in PT and all the lighting's red. Do stuff like that that just messes with the environment because that's more creative. And we've got the horsepower to do stuff like that now. And we don't have to rely on just like here's a gun, here's some really disgusting looking enemies, go and shoot them in the face. Do stuff that just kind of is
mm.
more kind of
Yeah.
experiential.
I mean, one thing I would say, um, there was another horror franchise was Outlast. That sort of like where you can't fight, you just run sort of game. I mean, there was a few of those. Obviously, Amnesia. This was just a more of a more big budget version of Amnesia, where you just hide and run and you can't really do anything. I never really got into Outlast.
No, I
For
played like an hour of two of them, I think. Because I think one of them launched into Game Pass, didn't it?
Yeah,
Or maybe it was the collection of one and two. I can't remember.
yeah, I know. I did play it on Game Pass. Yeah.
Yeah, I played like an
Mm,
hour of a couple of them. I just didn't enjoy it
mm,
very much, to be honest.
yeah,
It's not for me. But again, at that point, I was already sick of the run and hide horror games, so that probably didn't help.
yeah.
But I'm just
No.
glad we're getting away from that now. We're getting some big budget horror back, and
Mm,
even if it's in remakes, I'll take that for the time being and kind of hope that it leads to new experiences.
Have more set in space. Like Callisto Protocol and Dead Space. Have
Mm,
Oh, and of course you had Alien Isolation.
mm.
That was just cool.
How did we
Obviously,
forget that one?
how did we forget that? I was just like, oh yeah, that was pretty intense, man. That
It was
was
good,
just
but
sort of,
it was very intense, but it was too long as well. It's
yeah.
a very long game.
It's like how long can you make a game about an alien chasing you?
Mm.
That you can't really fight
20 odd
back.
hours apparently.
It's a long game, man. Longer than I
Yeah.
expected.
Mm.
And there's more than one alien. So, spoilers. But yeah. But yeah, man, there is horror games out there. Like I'm just remembering. But I think, this gen, hopefully there'll be more sort of big budget horror games. I mean, maybe big budget, maybe people say big budget spoils it. I mean, it's the sort of like indie sort of like jankiness that sort of makes a horror game.
I don't
Uh,
agree.
no, okay.
Some of my favorite horror games have been like sort of like probably at AAA or like AAA equivalent for their time,
Hmm.
like the Dead Space, like Dead Space 1 and 2, like Resident Evil games back on PS1, and then the recent remakes as well have been amazing. Um, Silent Hill 1 and 2 as well were like cutting edge games. So I don't necessarily agree that you have to have jank for it to be good. I just feel like a lot of the time that gets in the way. It just makes it kind of frustrating to play. So when people try and justify tank controls by, oh, it makes it frustrating and puts you really in the horror, and I'm like, no, it just makes it annoying to play. Proper
Yeah,
controls.
yeah. I never really fucking like tag controls. It's fucking awful, man.
They're always bad.
Yeah, I hate that. But yeah. Anyway, I think we're gonna leave it there, Mr. Ross. I know
I
you need
believe
to
so.
go to bed or eat or something, or maybe both.
Eat in
Uh,
bed.
Eat in bed. So yeah. I think like on coming up on the channel, we were discussing doing a co-op series, a new one. We're not decided what it's going to be. Um,
Resident Evil 6.
just fuck right off. Jesus Christ,
That'd be
no,
the
don't.
end of the channel.
Yeah, I think we would actually just fall out. But yeah, we got something. We intend to do a co-op, a let's co-op game. But we haven't decided which one yet. But yeah, stick around, find out what that's going to be, and yeah, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. This podcast is available on Spotify and Audible, which appears to be all our a majority of our audio listeners listens on Audible. But
Thanks, Audible.
we are available on other platforms apart from
Wait, don't Amazon own Audible? Do I just thank Amazon?
I think Amazon do.
Or
Yeah,
dirty now.
yeah, Amazon do. But we're not on Apple, so there you are. So just listen to us on those on Spotify and Audible. And if you want to look at us stupid faces, just check us out on YouTube.
Hey,
Yeah,
speak for yourself.
yeah. Well, I was talking about you. Anyway, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you again next time. Say
Bye.
bye.